Those are the biome basics. If we are optimizing in 2019, how do we get our guts in tip-top? I've got some answers today. And by the way, Silicon Valley is on the case.
Dr. S., I've seen the word microbiome pop up so much this year and last year and wondered how important is this really? As an expert in the scientific field, what do you think?
Yeah, so think about it. How many times do we say things like trust your gut, or we feel butterflies in our stomach when we are nervous, or when we start to think about how we overeat when we feel stressed out? There's just some intuition that we have that there is a relationship between our gut and our brain. And so often the gut is referred to as the second brain. And it's not shocking that you're hearing about this now and not over a longer period of time, because we really are only beginning to study this. We have centuries of not knowing what was that we were coexisting and living with these microscopic, invisible little species. And in the numbers of trillions and quadrillions, they've evolved with us. They've been with us since the dawn of the human race.
Well, if anything, really, it was all these Eastern medicines that people thought, okay, those are quacks, you know,
Right.
who give you something. And now we realize they were onto something.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much to learn about how these different organisms relate to us and interact with us and our systems, on our skin, inside our mouth, inside our gut. And these are organisms that have not just been with us since the dawn of time, but once the baby is born, is from that first moment is when we begin to actually engage and develop with them. It's a symbiotic relationship. And I'm talking about bacteria, I'm talking about fungi, I'm talking about other microorganisms, and the role that they play. Some of them can just, not do anything and maybe just take up space. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but it's really how they interact and the role that they play with our nervous system, our brain, and with our immune system. That is the real relationship with health, and we really need to study it now. That's what's cool.
People are already looking at how can we maybe optimize our own microbiomes, right? But it's not going to be the same for everybody.
Right, and so that's true. It's very unique. What's good for you and what works for you is not necessarily going to be what works for me. And the reason for that is because we're just beginning to kind of scratch the surface on the different sort of ways that they all interact with the unique makeups of our own bodies. And there's no magic bullet, there's no one solution, but there's something to be said for what we know is a relationship. So we know that there's a relationship based on studies that have been done with mice and humans. There's a relationship to our mental health and our physical well-being. We are finding relationships to autism, which is super interesting, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, depression. Did you know 90% of serotonin is actually manufactured in your gut? So that just goes to show
it's not in your synapses and everything up
there's
here.
a relation. I mean, it's all the things, our signals are being sent up there, it's being released from up there, but it's manufactured 90% of it in the gut.
Wow.
So if you think about the gut as a drug laboratory, as a chemical manufacturing plant almost, that just goes to show there is so much still to be learned.
Do you think there's going to be a day when we can say, oh, okay, I've been diagnosed with colorectal cancer. I can alter my microbiome in such a way that it'll help me, maybe not cure it, but fight it better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's what's so exciting, and that's the promise that is in this space, and which is why you're seeing so much more increasing money and resources being put towards more discovery and more understanding of exactly how these complex systems interact with one another.
Including in Silicon Valley.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of tech companies that are really taking advantage of some of the early research and seeing where they might be able to commercialize some of these products. And I think you're going to see that becoming more widespread as we go into more research and discovery and understanding.